The argument that I'm making is that is not do what you want as long as you're hurting nobody else. That is, you can do what you want as long as we license you to do it and we rigorously vet you to do it. And after we have rigorously licensed you and vetted you, then you can do it. And if you don't do it that way, you go to fucking jail. That is not do what you want as long as you're not hurting anybody else. That is sloganeering bullshit.
Andrew Wilson demolishes this insane feminist for her completely nonsense argument by using simple logic, as Andrew Wilson, using her own words against her, sends her into a defensive rant because being held accountable to what she says is that good old kryptonite that feminists just hate so much. Let's get in.
And instead, tell me about how you feel.
The argument is that not all women think like your wife. And so as a feminist, I completely support your wife and whatever her ideology is. And she can go shout that from the rooftops for the rest of her life. And I'm going to applaud her if that's how she really feels. Sure. But it also means that me, who probably has a wildly different perspective than your wife, should also be allowed to speak and also be equally as heard. And we're all allowed to do whatever we want as long as we're not harming other people.
No, that's not true. Point. In fact, you can't.
As long as I'm not harming anyone, I'm going to live my life the way I want.
No, even
I'm not harming anyone by doing my life.
You would not advocate that is true. For instance, okay, in the middle of the night, you know nobody's around. Okay, you know it for sure. You blow through a fucking stop sign. Okay, even though there's nobody around, is a cop justified in stopping you?
I mean, yes, he is, but like.
Well, I'm sorry, but you didn't harm anybody. You knew you wouldn't. You didn't even have the potential to harm them.
But that's the thing, though, is you actually don't know. That's the whole point of those traffic laws. You don't know if you're going to harm someone. Because if the light's red, you don't necessarily know if someone's coming around the bend. That's why it's red.
This particular one, you know. You're in a 2-stoplight town, man, and you know there ain't nobody on the road. You know 100% there's nobody there. Yeah. And within the confines of the hypothetical, is he justified in pulling you over?
Of course.
Of course. So if he's justified in pulling you over, then no, this idea of I can do what I want as long as I hurt nobody else.
But the thing is, by obtaining a driver's license, I agreed to those rules of society.
Wait, you need a driver's license? I thought you could do whatever you want unless it's hurting someone else. Why can't you drive without a driver's license? You're not hurting anybody.
You are, because in order to get a license, you need to learn to drive.
Why can't you learn to drive without a license?
An education,
I'm sorry, you can't learn to drive without a license?
I think the whole point is
No, hang on. Let me finish the argument with her.
No, you keep cutting me off. Like the point
She cut you off.
Actually, she's furthering my point, and I really appreciate what she said. You're cutting me off. Anyway.
He was trying to let you finish, just for clarity.
I was trying to let you finish. She cut you off. You played me.
Go ahead.
I appreciate Liz's interjection, and
I don't appreciate her interjection, but anyway, go ahead.
We're not. So my point is that if you just get behind the wheel of a car and you've never driven one before, it's likely you're going to crash it. So anyone should have the right to drive as long as they learn to drive. Anyone should probably have the right to own a gun as long as they know how to use a gun and they don't have a history of murdering people with guns. We should have the right to go after whatever life we want. But do I want to be a heart surgeon? I don't. But let's say I wanted to be a heart surgeon. I should have every opportunity in this world to become one. Does that mean I get to just call myself one? I still have to learn how to do it, or I could harm someone's body in the process. So in order to not harm others, I need to get educated before I take on that role. But we should be able to do whatever we want. But some things in the world you need education to do.
Yeah, so to get
but
this...
you should have the right to educate yourself.
It. So to get this right, here's your actual argument back to you. Okay? You should be able to do whatever you want as long as we tell you can do it. You can do whatever you want as long as you have a license and you go through the proper authorized authorities to tell you now you can do what you want.
Right.
Do you believe that with licensing, medical licensing, private licensing, licensing for guns, licensing to drive an automobile, licensing to fly a plane, licensing for everything? You probably believe that you should have licensing to own a home because after all...
No, I don't, because owning a home isn't going to put me in jeopardy of killing other people. Doing open heart surgery when I have no knowledge on how to do it could make me kill someone. That's the difference. Wait.
Everything you do in life can have the potential of a negative ramification to harm somebody else. Everything.
And when I'm talking about harming,
hang on. Let me finish my point. Everything you do in life has the potential to do this. If that is true, and you have to agree with me that that is true, what you're actually not saying to me is you should be able to do whatever you want as long as it doesn't hurt anybody else. You're saying you should be able to do anything you want as long as we collectively feel that your potential to hurt other people is mitigated. And so that actually requires rigorous government interference and rigorous not letting you do what you want.
It's not letting you do what you want, it's preparing you to do what you want. If you want to fly a plane, I think no matter if you're a woman, if you're black, if you're whatever age, as long as you pass the physical test that says, yeah, you have the eyesight and hearing abilities or whatever, and you're not going to jeopardize other people's lives on the plane. If
Quadruple
you pass
amputee?
What was that?
Quadruple amputee?
I mean, they probably
Just
couldn't
checking.
fly a
I
plane.
just want to check.
It's like, but that's what I'm saying is like,
checking.
it's just, this is like, it's so funny how you're trying to make this something like if anyone in the world wants to be a pilot or a heart surgeon, I believe they should have every opportunity to become one. Does that mean as a society we have no standards? We do have standards.
So we stop people from doing what they want?
Stop interrupting me. Shut up, dude. Stop interrupting me. So let's say.
Well, you can't go for hours either.
I'm not going for hours. It's been about a minute and a half.
Go.
Anyway, so like, if there is some poor person of color who dropped out of school, didn't have the resources, like grew up in who knows, they grew up in a group home, like they don't have the same opportunities as someone who grew up in a wealthy family who's going to pay for their college education, let's say. Like, I think that person, if they have a dream of being a pilot, they should be able to work hard enough and be given the opportunity to learn to be a pilot. It doesn't mean that because they imagine they're a pilot, they get to be one. But if you're like, I want to be a pilot, I'm going to be like, I don't care where you come from, what you look like. Here's the resources to learn to study. And if you put your time into that and you learn and study, then congratulations, you deserve to be one.
No,
That's
Yeah,
that.
okay, but this again doesn't even begin
not stopping them from
to
being a
address
pilot,
my
it's just
argument.
teaching them to be one
Stop.
before they do it.
My turn, right? So, one more time. This is my actual argument. Try to address the argument I make, not the one that you wish I made, and then address that argument. The argument that I'm making is that is not do what you want as long as you're hurting nobody else. That is, you can do what you want as long as we license you to do it and we rigorously vet you to do it. And after we have rigorously licensed you and vetted you, then you can do it. And if you don't do it that way, you go to fucking jail. That is not do what you want as long as you're not hurting anybody else. That is sloganeering bullshit.
No.
Obviously, you can see this woman does not like being called out by this by. Obviously, you can see this woman does not like being called out. Obviously, you can see this woman does not like being called out for this by Andrew Wilson. Women just hate being held accountable to what they actually say. But this stuff matters because I think Andrew Wilson makes a good point. You hear when all sorts of girls to get together, they start chatting, say what they want, and they do have slogans, simple things that they want to say, but they actually act as if that's like how the world goes. Like it actually functions that way. Like they don't think deep enough to realize the consequences of what they're implying by what they're saying. And then they don't want to be held accountable for it later. I mean, this stuff matters in policy, it matters in law, it matters in all sorts of aspects of your life. And if you're not going to treat it seriously, well, you're going to get exactly what you paid in for. So if you don't take it seriously, you're going to get terrible consequences for it. And this woman's defense of, oh, you get licensed to learn how to do something. Well, no, there's still a punishment because if you try to fly a plane without a license, you still go to jail. So there's still a punishment to behavior that you're not allowed to do. Let me know what you think in the comments, folks, but this argument is not that difficult at all. But hit that like button if you're enjoying the video. It really helps the algorithm. Let's get back in.
No, because
Bullshit
if
and
I
lies.
decided to just take 20 people and get on a plane and
STFU and try using logic. You can fly a plane without a license.
Right.
Right. So,
Without hurting
okay, so let
anybody.
me take this. I don't know if you have kids or not, but let's say you have 3 toddlers at home right now. And let's say a random man off the street who's never flown a plane in his life said to you, hey, I'm going to take your kids on my plane. I want to go for a joyride. Would you feel comfortable with that? Or would you rather go on a flight with someone who you know?
Yeah, fuck no, I'm
learned?
not doing that.
Right. Because you have standards. It's not that no one can be a pilot, but if you're
Am
going to
I
entrust
advocating you should be able to do whatever you want as long as you're not hurting anybody, or are you advocating that?
I am. And
Okay,
I do
well then
think,
why are
I
you
think
giving
that
me an
person
internal
should be able
critique?
to be a pilot. I think
Then
they just
why
need to
are
learn
you
how to be
giving
one.
me an internal critique about a position I don't even hold?
Because you're stating that by my logic, any
By
random
your
person should
logic,
be able to be a pilot.
yeah, by
and
your
that's not my
logic of you can do whatever you want as long as you're not hurting anybody else is not even a standard you yourself believe. I just
is.
demonstrated it. No, you
I
believe in.
think that-
you
that
believe in
person on this-
over-the-top rigorous licensing for fucking everything. What are you
No,
talking
I
about?
don't. I don't
think the
believe in
word that's
rigorous
missing here
licensing
is
for
the
owning a home.
opportunity
Like
to
you
do what
just
you
gave
want.
owning a home as an example. I don't think anyone
That's
needs
because-
to have
what
licensing
about-
to own a home.
okay, what about
Like to
owning-
open someone's chest and
No,
do
you
surgery?
do.
You
Listen,
should be
I'm
licensed.
trying. By the way, you cut me off when I was making that argument. No, you do believe you need a license when you own a home. For instance, if you want to add on to your home, have a structure.
Yeah, I know about permitting. I
Yeah.
worked in
Do you
real
think?
estate.
Do you think we should have permitting for that?
I mean, Santa Barbara's permitting laws, I actually highly disagree with. It depends on this. That's a very
That's not my question.
county by city
Yeah,
basis.
that's not my question. Do you think that the government should be empowered to come in and tell you how you're going to be able to zone your own house if they consider any type of public danger, even if it's just a perception?
If they perceive that the structure you're building is going to cave in on itself and kill the people living in it, then sure. That's why you have to learn to be a
they're doing
construction
whatever
worker.
they want. They're doing whatever they want, and they're not
can't.
hurting anybody else.
But they are by building something they don't know how to build. That
So
is
wait a
harming
second,
people.
wait a second.
So
So
they're going to
they're
learn
living
to
in their
build
own
it or
house?
hire someone who knows how, and then still. That's what I'm saying.
Whoa, that's
if you want to
super
add on to
weird.
your house,
That's
you
super
can add
weird.
on to your house.
So you live
but
by
you just
yourself.
need to do it in a safe way.
So you live by yourself on a hill, right? And you build your own structure. The government comes in and says, nope, you got to have a permit for that because you might harm yourself. Great. But your argument is you should be able to do whatever the fuck you want as long as you're not hurting anybody else. Who cares if they're going to harm themselves?
No, I'm saying if they want to add on to the house, they can still add on to the house. They just literally need to do it in a safe way.
So they just
I
need
want
to
Liza to talk
rigorously
now.
be vetted and licensed in order to do
For
what they
certain
want.
things in the world,
They
yeah,
should have
certain
the
things in the world
So you
are can be
absolutely
unsafe.
don't believe that people should be able to do whatever they want as long as you're not hurting anybody else.
I
Like
believe
every
if you want to add on to
example-
your house, you can add on to your house. Just do it in a safe
single
way.
example that you give requires licensing, rules, regulations, and people interfering with your life before you can do the thing that you want.
Part of not
that
being a
doesn't hurt
caveman.
anybody else.
We live in a
The
society.
opportunity,
That's why
having
you
the
can't
Right,
just walk
you
down
know
the
what?
street
I
and murder
agree.
people.
We live in a
have
society. That's why I
standards.
wouldn't make such a ridiculous argument as you can do whatever you want as long as you're not hurting anybody else, because that's sloganeering. That's not true.
the ideal. I think
That's
she's
taking
saying
it
it's
too
more of
literal.
the ideal, though, and not what
No, it's not taking it too literal.
So far, this woman just looks like an absolute idiot. Like, this is a simple, logical question that she cannot answer. And she keeps trying to divert. She would look so much better I would look at her so much more respectable if she just said, you know what? All right, you got me in that one. Like, what I really meant. And she could reword it and they could go on in the conversation. But she is so deadhead on not being wrong, on not being held accountable to what she said. She is diverting into this other conversation that Andrew Wilson's, like he said, he doesn't even have that point. But she's trying to win something on another part of an argument that isn't even directly corresponding to this, just so she feels like she's in the right without just admitting, hey, I worded that wrong. Yeah, you're right. That doesn't make sense. I mean, she's doubling down, she's tripling down, she's quadrupling down. This is the insanity of feminism. You could have just made it very easy, taken responsibility, gone on about your day, and this could have been productive. But now she is just absolutely hitting the nail on the head over and over because she just cannot admit such a simple thing was wrong. But folks, thanks for watching. Let me know in the comments what you thought about what Andrew Wilson had to say, completely demolishing this insane feminist in this clip from the Whatever podcast. Thanks again, like and subscribe, and I will see you on the next one.